go.
We're live, baby.
We are live on Facebook. We have Steven Selly today talking on the subject, unlock your highest energy. Let's see here, go live. Did not go live. Oh, we have some sort of thing. Maybe we do that. So you can grab that. Okay, we are going live on Facebook. Should work this time. There we go. Okay. So before we get started, as always, we always like to start off with a little meditation to get us grounded. A lot of things probably happen between now and 11 o'clock. And so our heads might be somewhere else, but this is a time that you buy out for yourself, for your own mental, emotional, spiritual, physical health, where we get perspective. And so in order to do that, I'd like to lead us on a little grounding meditation. I would call it grounding slash self-love meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes if you're in a safe space. Obviously, if you're driving, do not close your eyes. And so with that said, let's close our eyes. And I invite you to take a deep breath and hold it. Now embrace yourself, hug yourself, release the breath, and say, I love me.
I love me.
I love you. I love
I love
everyone.
you. I love everyone.
Now I invite you to take another deep breath and hold it. Release the breath and say, I accept me.
I
I
accept.
accept you.
I accept you.
I accept my life. I accept my job.
I accept my life. I accept my job.
I accept even the most difficult situations.
I accept even the most difficult situations.
I invite you to take one last deep breath with me and hold it. Release the breath and say, I'm doing the best I can.
Doing the best I can.
Everyone's doing the best they can.
Everyone's doing the best they can.
And with that said, I invite you to arrive exactly where you're at, knowing there's nowhere else to be. How thankful that you're taking this time for your self-care, for your peace, to connect with your authenticity. Invite you to open your eyes. So with that said, I'm excited to introduce Energy Steve, or
Hey.
Steven Selly. And so what we'll be talking about today is unlock your highest energy. A little bit about Steve. He's an energy coach and a master neuro-linguistic programming practitioner, helping leaders break free from self-limiting beliefs and dogma. His path from dunker to creative director to rapper taught him that authentic expression unlocks our deepest potential and gifts. Now, he guides others to discover their unique gifts and create their greatest impact in the world by connecting to their authenticity, their authentic expression. So, again, just to remind everyone, Healing Conversations is a space founded on unconditional love and acceptance. And so, with that, we start off every call with a self love meditation because I feel that that's the greatest way to connect with our expression fully as it is. And so, from there, we can shine our authentic expression. And so, with that said, invite Stephen to lead us on the conversation to unlock your highest potential, your highest energy. Welcome, Stephen.
Wow. Thank you so very much for that intro and the meditation. Um, I'm very excited for today. Um, my first invitation would be to have people just open up to some magic, open up to things surfacing, opening up to something brand new, a brand new experience. That's what you mentioned in the meditation as well, is that we're here now. I accept where I'm at now, and there's infinite possibilities. So I just love inviting people to be open to that because that's how healing can happen very quickly as well. So I'm
Mhm.
super excited and also very timely. For those that don't know, there's fires going on in LA where I live, and I'm actually out of the West LA where I live in Venice Beach into San Diego, and there's a lot of heavy emotions. A lot of friends I know lost their homes, completely burned to the ground, and their childhood homes, their parents' homes. There's like 80,000 people that had to evacuate, and part of me feels helpless. At the same time, it feels like this is more needed than ever, is to have a space where people can stay in their energy, stay in their highest frequency. So always perfect timing, and I just wanted to mention that that's on my mind, and also still feel like it's the right time to talk about this topic, which is very, very deep for me to help people unlock their energy, live at their highest potential, and just really connect to something bigger. So, like you said, a quick backstory is I I guess I'll go even further back. When I was a kid, growing up short, I felt very limited. I felt very unseen, and I felt very quiet and dimmed. I didn't know till looking back. I just looked. I had some tension. I was confused. I didn't know if I was being myself. I lost some friends when I stayed myself, that childhood joy. Some of my friends started to have judgments, so I lost those friends. So from a young age, it was like I had this story that either I'm authentic and lose my friends, or I'm inauthentic and stay with my friends. So it was a very confusing path, but I didn't really choose. I kind of stayed in the middle, which made me kind of contract. And then when I started college, I had this dream of dunking a basketball at only 5'10" and decided to go for that, and it was just a spark of joy. It was just because I was like, what if this is possible? Something clicked in my head, which I now see as one of my gifts, is I have this ability to see this impossible thing that was a 0% and just open up to say, what if this is possible? And it was one of the most transformative journeys, and it took me on a really deep self-discovery journey, and it started my spiritual path, which was me believing in myself. I achieved this goal of dunking and then went way beyond it and really learned how much I was limiting myself based on just a belief that I had that this thing wasn't possible. And then when I shifted that, everything was possible. And so that also led to see like what else is possible in my job, in my relationships. And it also taught me my love for expression because I was jumping really high, dunking a basketball, which is very um, exciting to watch. And I loved being in that spotlight. And it was also very personal. Like nobody could really stop me from doing that. I was fully myself. And I started to notice I wasn't fully myself in other areas. And it was kind of like my first expression of my full energy in one area of my life, in my physical body. And anybody listening or Noe, is it Noe or no? I just want to make sure I'm saying it right.
Noe.
Noe, I love it. So yeah, feel free to interrupt, ask any questions. Would love any feedback or any thoughts that you have about energy as we go forward. The more specific we can get, the more transformative it can be. And so, yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say one note, as far as basketball, because I also play basketball even still. And I noticed for me, you get into this flow state, you're really like no thought. So you're really connecting to your essence, your full aliveness, I feel, right? So I think that we might relate on that aspect. And sometimes I feel like we don't actually do that in other areas of our lives,
Yes.
right? And I think that's what you're speaking to.
1000%. It was like another simple way to put that is like I was trying to train to dunk, which a lot of people my age or guys my height would be like, why? And because of this really fun goal, I call them now, courageous leaps of faith. I call it leaps of joy. It was like I had this courageous leap of joy that I'm doing this dunk, that my nutrition was on point. My training was like an elite athlete. My sleep became like a foundational pillar, and that shaped my healthy lifestyle. And I had so endless motivation for that. And people were like, how do you eat so strict? And to me, it wasn't strict. It was just that this goal was so exciting. So what you're
Mhm.
saying is like, I feel like when you're in that essence, you don't have to, like, no one has to tell you to play basketball hard or
Hmm.
train hard, but like, and I feel like if we can align that in our business and our income and our
Hmm.
wealth and our service, you, for me, which I'll get to, is like my natural gifts I used to downplay, but if you're really in your zone of genius, then you're going to work the hardest and you're going to realize, oh, you can make such deep impact and receive income in this way that other people might be like, wow, that's a lot of work, but to you it's like nothing because it's what you love to do. So that's a great point.
Right.
Being
Makes
in
perfect
transit.
sense.
Yeah. So did that, and I was in a 9 to 5 job that I did not like. I was already filming myself dunk training, so I thought to myself, what if I become a vlogger? That would be one route that I can see that would be really fun. Started developing a lot of videos, started a podcast, fell in love with that whole process, and grew my channel. But I didn't really have much business savvy of how to make a YouTube channel profitable. But in a few years of that, I realized I was doing it on the side for people editing, and I realized, oh, this could be a way out of corporate. And that was one of my first leap. That was the next leap of faith, which was another courageous leap of joy, which was leaving my corporate job for a job that I love, like a passion. I was like, I just want to be waking up every day, um, doing something I love, not going to a desk that really drained me, not working on something that didn't have any passion behind it. And I had no idea how to make it work. I had no experience as an entrepreneur, but just dove headfirst, quit my job, moved in with my mom, and got a client like that week, which
Mhm.
was amazing. So it was a very powerful moment for me to be like, when you fully commit, you're supported, and it's just been a balance of that sense of, are you fully in? Are you really clear that's what you want to do? And first little nugget I'd say for unlocking your energy for me has been, and my clients, what lights you up the most? And so often with work, we think to ourselves, because it lights us up, it doesn't equate to money. Like we should work and have pain and suffering or try effort, and then we have our play and passion over here. But I'm in this new field of everything is play, everything is passion. And in fact, when you're aligned with what lights you up most, it's actually your greatest service, which can bring the greatest wealth for you. So that would be the first nugget, is what lights you up the most. You said the word alive, which I love, is what is your essence? What makes you come alive? And start working towards that. So I took that leap, started freelance photo video, podcasting. I did everything, editing, social media management, and a few years of that was like, I don't know what it is. I'll just fast forward till now, which was like last year. I had this big shift. I was all the way working to this point where I was made a worked with all these different types of clients, started saying no to certain clients, which was tough for the alignment. Like, this person doesn't understand my value. I want to work with more passionate people. That was a tough no, but it was actually a yes to alignment. Got amazing clients. Then I was in Florida where I grew up and wasn't meeting the right people, not having enough interactions, not having my community. So the next courageous leap of joy as I'm working as an entrepreneur myself, I was like, I want to meet people. I went to California for 2 days to meet a buddy just to see what it's like, and I never left. I just felt the energy, met people that first day, so excited. My heart was screaming yes. And I've been in LA for now 2.5 years, and it's been one of the best leaps I've taken again. So it's kind of like, first one was physical with the dunk training, second one was entrepreneurial with my business, third one was for community and environment. And then last year, the one of the big, all of those things came to a head where I was the partner of a creative agency. I was a creative director. It was me and my partner. We're building it. It's going well. And I like what I'm doing. I don't love what I'm doing. And more importantly, I didn't love where I was going. I thought I wanted financial stability as an entrepreneur riding that roller coaster. I'm like, this is a long-term investment for my future, my wealth, my family. And I just didn't love who I was being because every day I was not excited for the tasks. I didn't even love the role if it came true. And it's still a potential. I don't know if this company is going to grow, right? So what came to my next realization was like, if I did coaching and performing and speaking and using my voice, that would light me up. But my mind said to myself, how would I make that work? I don't know how that works. Whereas like this creative agency, very easy to see how it scales. You get more clients, you provide more services. And so I realized, oh wow, I have a belief that I can't do it myself. I can't do it my way. And also the belief of, is this my greatest service? How do I know? And it was simply because when I got asked to do it or when I thought of it happening, I was excited. So I had to just simply allow my excitement to guide me. That's the way I want to go. And so when I found this stability to do energy coaching and performing, it really rubbed up against like a really core wound of like, can I do it my way? Why do I get to be this person that lives their dream? And another nugget from everybody to listen is I believe everyone has a purpose like that, a calling that is so unique to them, and it comes in the form of excitement. And my path might not excite someone else's. And I believe that if we all chased our dream, that we would all fit this beautiful tapestry, that we are all serving each other in these perfect ways. And there was another nugget of the creative agency that was really tough for me. Yeah, I was just bumping up against, is this something I don't want to do? Or is it just a really difficult task that I've never committed this big before for myself? And I was in confusion for a little bit until I got this opportunity to do an energy coaching practice for somebody. And it was the same fear of like, am I capable of doing this? But it had the energy of excitement, like, oh, I want to see what happens with this challenge. And if it goes well, I'd be lit up. So another question to ask yourself is, if this works out the best way, does it light you up? And so the creative agency was like, if this worked out, I made a couple $1 million in a sale when we sell the company in 5 years. I'm like, the money's great, but I don't really care that I've built that. Like, I'm not like pumped. I would be happy it's gone. Like, I almost like want to sell it. Whereas like energy coaching, if it makes me the same money and it works out amazing, I'd be so pumped. It feels like that's who I am. And things like that, I would say to my own coach. And being in your essence, it's like that is the ultimate way to go. And it's just like, am I guided by money or am I guided by who I want to be and who I am? And so you have to trust that that brings you that. So that comes up to a belief system that you have. So that's been that. And since then, since I had that realization and took that leap, relationships have shifted dramatically last year. Just I said, I just told the universe and myself, like, okay, energy coaching is where I want to go. Oh, I remember the nugget now. Through the camera, it became very clear when I had these realizations that the camera, when I used it for my clients, I fell in love with the piece of helping them unlock their expression on camera, sharing their voice, getting clarity on their message. And it wasn't about the video I made. The video was like a result of that. And I'm like, I just want to work on this piece here. And my mind, my limited mind would say, is that valuable enough? Can I just work on that? And the camera also taught me I want to be on camera. I love sharing my voice. This is a dream come true right now. This conversation is I love inspiring people. I love to perform like I did with dunking. I do music. I love sharing my voice in that way. I love doing podcasts. So it's like the camera was the next step of my evolution. It doesn't need to be something I hold on to. What if it brought me here? So that's where it helped me be like, okay, if that was its lesson, I don't need to make money through this one little avenue of camera. I can see like, oh, it taught me my unique zone, which is helping people unlock themselves, showing up as authentically as they possibly can. So made that shift, told my partner, hey, I think I want to work on this piece with our clients. I didn't tell him I want to like not be the company. I'm like, I just want to shift. I don't want to be the editor. I don't want to be the shooter. I want to move more into this creative expression role. 2 days later, he said, I think it's best if we part ways. And simultaneously scary, but also that relief feeling that I've had with clients of mine that when they get let go from their job, they're like, there's a sense of relief there, which was a good sign for me. Relief in the fact that I didn't have to do those tasks anymore. I was like, whoa, that's a really interesting feeling. I thought I'd be more scared. And then energy coaching took off. I did what I could to support myself while it transitioned, but I like applied for jobs. I asked people if they needed creative work while I supported myself and got clients. Didn't need any of them. Clients just started coming because now I was clear on my energy, what I do, and I was fully committed. So it was another result of that, and I feel super blessed to be doing that. And so now going back to helping people unlock their energy, that's my story. And now what I really help people do is what lights them up the most, what makes them come alive, and why are they not doing that now? Because if there's a belief that I go by Energy Steve, that's my rap name, and oh, I got a question here I'll get to in a second right after I finish this talk. Um, I believe everything is energy. We came from an energy source. We are all one vibration. And if you are in your highest state of joy and bliss, whether that's passion, I like to use the word fun, that's going to bring you the highest abundance, prosperity, all these different things. So it's just up to you to be in that highest vibration. And so if we're living our dream, we're doing what we love, we're going to be in that highest vibration. And so that's where energy comes from. And I got a question here I'll take from Josh Johnson. What action or habits do you use to shift, get through that lost feeling? Great question. So when I feel lost, something that's really helped me, even right now, like the last week, the new year, so much energy of what are your goals? What are you going to do? What are you going to accomplish in this year? But for me, I like to be in tune with nature, and it's winter. It's the winter season, which is a time to rest and listen. And spring is when things blossom and seeds are planted, right? So now it's just time to listen. So when I feel super confused or if I feel super lost, I wait because whenever I know what action to take, that's how I like to act. It's called inspiration. Inspiration has is the word in spirit, and it's when something is breathed into you. So if I act inspired and I'm not acting on, I feel lost trying to figure it out, that is me resisting that I just need to wait for things to get settled. I love the term of I'll get to actual habits and things to do that. But one other visualization is think of it like waves. If you're in the life is an ocean, if the waves are very calm, it's easy to swim. If the waves are very consistent, it's easy to surf those waves if you're a surfer. But if the waves are chaotic, aka feeling lost or confused, you're not going to try to surf those waves. You're not going to try to swim. You just got to hold on and just wait for the waves to settle. And it makes it a lot easier for you to make decisions once the waves get calm. So actions and habits I do when I feel lost is I journal. Journaling is one of the biggest things I do. If I'm feeling lost, why do I feel lost? Is it lack of direction that I don't know where I want to go, or I don't know if it's the right one? And I work through that. What is the deepest fear that you're feeling lost? And I actually ask you that, Josh, if you want to answer that is what do you feel lost about? Is it that how you're going to make money? Is it lost in how you're going to find a partner? What it specifically, I get really specific on what I feel lost about. I'll pause there for any other questions or anything for you, Noe.
What I hear you saying again is this idea of connecting with our passion, connecting where we feel the most alive, and really channeling that energy in all aspects of life, like
Yes.
job, family, friends, what have you. And so I couldn't agree more. Um, it's the most important thing where life just flows.
Yes.
Otherwise, you said sometimes you run out of motivation because you're really
Yeah.
using force.
Yes.
Whereas when we align with purpose, which is what you're talking about, then everything flows and the universe conspires to give us what we're aiming for. I
Mm-hmm.
also feel, I've said with this a few years ago, you cannot mess up being human. Any decision you make is always the right decision. So I think that's where we get caught up in loops and we do not come alive. We live in so much fear, self-doubt, all these insecurities that are survival based, right? And
Yeah.
so they derail our aliveness. So I think it's so important to, like you said, when you journal, also say, why haven't I started? Or you said
Yeah.
something to that effect. And so that's the awareness that is created by journaling what's running through our mind. Usually
Yeah.
it's like some sort of self-doubt, some sort of self-criticism, because no one else is as hard on ourselves as we are, right? And so I
100%.
appreciate what you're saying. I agree 100% with everything.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. I sparked that sparked another idea for Josh here, if he's still listening, of an action you could take is when you journal, a practice I really love to do with my clients is what is your heart saying, which is for me, that's my word for your soul, that excitement, that light, versus what is your mind saying. I don't even like the word versus, but like just separating the two to get a little clarity because the mind is designed to help us survive. It's beautiful, it's analytical, it's logical a lot of times, but knowing the difference is very helpful. It has been very powerful for me because if you're saying I'm lost because I need to make money, I need to have a place to live, I want to find a woman at this time so I can have a family. Those are all great things. There's nothing wrong with them. But are you also answering your heart? What does your heart know? My heart knows that there's things happening in perfect timing. I know that when I act in my highest vibration, the best things happen. So if you're able to see those difference and you can act on that heart, you can kind of get the mind to be a little more calm. So it doesn't direct the show out of that fear, out of that survival mode. You can act in that joyful mode. So Josh said, I'm an entrepreneur myself. Thank you for sharing to wait and journal. Anxious because it's a down season and I don't want to get caught up in the feeling lost or questioning my path. Okay, so why is it a down season? Uh, and I say that for a couple of reasons because it is winter. Things may not happen, but also that's a story that we've told, meaning it's good to listen to what feels natural for you, what keeps you in the high vibration. For me, it is tuning in with nature and resting. But I actually got 3 clients during winter, and I was open to that not happening, but I'm also open, making sure I'm open to it happening because people can come at any time. It could be the perfect season for them. And so, but what is the problem with it being a down season? If you knew that this season was going to be slower in terms of getting clients or income for a bigger spring, wouldn't that bring some peace? Like, what is the rush? If it's a down season, is there a rush that you need money now? And is there a deeper belief that you're always supported? And just like the seasons, that things come at the right time and they blossom in the best way. If you're trying to plant a seed and grow a tree, you can't force it in winter. So if you knew it was coming and you knew these things were happening, would that bring you some peace? And when it comes to questioning your path, if it worked out, would you still be happy? Or if it didn't work out, would you not be happy? Like, follow the extremes to help surface the fear of like, is it your path or not? Yep.
Thank you for sharing that direction. Ash,
I
any
can keep going
follow-up
on.
questions?
Yeah. I have so the one thing I started on was getting clear on what lights you up. That's kind of the first step. What really lights you up? And then, just like you're saying, right here, he's being a little anxious, he's a little lost. Like, what is the main fear? If that lights you up, if you want to be a painter, if you want to be a rapper like myself, if you want to be a speaker, if you want to be whatever you want to be, why have you not worked towards it, or why are you not fully committed? What's the main belief? Is it I can't make money through it, or I don't know where it's going to go? Like, what is the fear that comes up in the way of that? Another one is like a lot of people have fear of judgment. What if people say, "Who are you to be an artist? Who are you to be this transformational coach?" And you have fears of these judgments of the way you now live if you're going towards that dream. And so often we let those fears of what others may think of our path stop us. But if you can get clear on like what's that fear, I like to say, what is that shadow voice that you hear often is like, who am I to do this? Or what will they think? Then you could really, I like to separate things, right? So you say, this is that shadow voice talking. This is not my heart talking. That'll help you get even more clarity. You know, you want to go here. This is the main block of why you're not going here. And then action. So it's clarity, then you have the courage, and then you have the commitment. So the courage to say, this is what I feel it all as well. Like, what is the worst case scenario? Courage to acknowledge that you're afraid, and then the commitment. I'm going to act in this light because now I have the clarity that this is my high vibration. I have the beliefs that this high vibration lets me do this, and you commit. And part of that commitment, in addition to that, is your boundaries. So now you're going to operate in this high vibration. You're going to be this rapper, you're going to be this speaker, and you're going to stay in your high frequency. You have to have boundaries. For example, sometimes if a creative job came to me now and it was decent money, I'd have to really feel if it feels aligned. If it's enough money where it supports my business, great. But if it's not enough money and it's that edge of this is going to take my energy away from me being the best coach I can, even if it's for money. I don't want to operate on money because I have this belief now that when I keep my vibration focused, I don't need that money. So is it coming from a need, or is it coming from, is it energizing me? And I believe everything can energize us. And if we have our boundaries so strong with ourself and with others, then we stay in this high vibration. Wanted to open up for any questions about boundaries because that's usually a pretty big one about people worrying that they're gonna. I'll just keep going on that. Is so many people worry that when they hold their boundaries, other people may react. They may have done it every time in the past. Every time they take this step, someone reacts or questions them. So you know people are going to react, but you can't act on their reaction. You have to just stay there. And a lot of times as a coach, I want to help lift people up, but that's not my job. I can show them this step, but I can't make them move. And if you do, then I'm not letting them develop the tools to get here. They are just I'm pushing them here, and then as soon as I leave, they could fall because they don't haven't built it within. So you have to understand that your highest vibration is the greatest for everyone, despite how they'll react, because they might react and respond to you vibrating from a triggered place, but you cannot control that. And if you're operating on that, then you're always at their will. All you can control is how you feel. And your boundaries are actually the best for them because you're saying, I'm staying up here. You can meet me or not. And that's a tough one. I know there's a lot of emotions that come up with setting boundaries like that.
That's great advice. I couldn't agree more. I think it all starts with us, like self-love,
Yeah.
acceptance, stop being so hard on ourselves. Once we do that, it opens up doors, and we respect, our energy, and we're picky where we choose to share our energy. And so, the thing is, we don't want to degrade ourselves by giving away our empowerment because of other people's supposed opinions or judgments that only live in our head. A lot of times, this is an inner dialogue that basically stops us right on our track. Usually, it is the block, that inner dialogue of that survival consciousness, when there's really no danger, but it's trying to, be complacent, be in the known, I should say, not in the unknown. The unknown is so scary, right? It
Yeah.
threatens our survival, when in reality, it actually, like you said, embracing our highest expression is such a gift to ourselves and of experience and to the world.
Yes. So
100%. Yeah.
love that. You brought up the unknown and the known, which I love as well, because I feel understanding that the subconscious is afraid of the unknown can help you have even more clarity to be like, okay, this is an unknown path, but when I'm in the unknown, that's also the field of infinite possibilities. And if I know that I'm just afraid of the unknown, I don't want to act on a fear. But stepping into the unknown is scary, but that doesn't mean I don't take the step. So you see the fear, you acknowledge it and feel it, but you know the truth that you're stepping into the unknown because you're stepping into your highest frequency. So if you can see that fear so clearly, it makes that step a lot smaller.
Mhm. And I appreciate how many times you've used the words take that leap of faith. That you
Yes.
not only did it once, you did it twice
Hmm.
or more. And so I think a lot of times we're just so scared.
Hmm.
You jump and not knowing what's going to happen. And so it's better for me, perspective wise. It's like releasing the mattering that I matter so much, the self importance, because I think that really stops us in our track. And I think the liberation and freedom of embracing our true, authentic expression is in releasing so much mattering in ourselves, and, really going after our highest expression, our heart centered expression, our authenticity. So, again, I couldn't agree more.
Love it. Dude,
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up because this is a really good bow on this one, which is
Mhm.
I go by Energy Steve, and another phrase I use a lot is be the energy.
Mhm.
So one of the most fascinating things to me is you're stepping into this unknown. It's scary. It'll always be unknown because it's a new path. So get used to that fear always being there. And once you
Mhm.
take it once and see the magic that happens, it makes it easier. But what I love is like we have to let go of the outcome of what people might say. We have to let go of the outcome of us even achieving the thing. And what's really beautiful, which I think if more people knew they could take this step, is that the second you take that step into the unknown for your highest frequency, you say, like I'll use myself, Steve, I want to see what I'm capable of. I want to see if I can make the best music, the best coach, be the best speaker I could be to inspire people. It feels like it's my passion. I'm excited. If that's the step I'm going towards, who is that person that takes that step? He is someone that believes in that truth. He believes in high frequency. He believes in love and he believes in himself. So the second you take that step, it doesn't matter if it goes right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. You just took the step as that courageous person. You took a courageous step. So you get to be courageous now. So I love that because it helps release all outcomes, which allows you to take that step. If you say, no matter what happens in this outcome, I am courageous now, I am self loving now, I am setting a boundary now, you get to be that person now. It doesn't take a result for you to be that person. So I know it feels scary. I know it could bring up a lot of emotions. I know it may even cause a storm, but you get to be that person now. So instead of saying, when I make the money or when I book the gig or once I land the girlfriend, then I'll be confident. It's like, no, I get to be confident right now because of this step I'm taking.
I love that point, and I couldn't agree more. One thing that I always say is like someday only exists on paper, on a calendar. It never actually exists for us at any point in time until you kept saying in the now, right?
Yes.
In the present moment is when we can embody our highest, most authentic expression. And moment by moment, fully being present in that highest expression, our heart-centered expression, our authenticity is the full reward in the doing or
Yes.
non-doing in the present moment. And so I love that you disconnected the feeling to a goal, because a goal is always in the future and that's elusive, right?
Mhm.
There's only now. So how can we embody that in this present moment, that energy, right? That's really what you're saying.
Yep, totally. So I asked a question for you guys to ask yourself, whoever's listening, is what lights you up beyond belief? Like what goal, what crazy dream, what's the scariest fear? And if that dream comes true, how does that feel? And then what story do you want to live right now? You get to be the person that goes for that. You get to be the person that's trusts in that. You get to be the person that whatever story you want. I love calling myself Energy Steve because it helps my mind have a little permission slip to be this character. Like that's who he wants to be. And it's like, what if I'm just that person for this moment? How would I act in this moment right now as that ultimate character I see? And what is the story I'm telling? And when you figure out the story that lights you up, like, I want to be someone that inspires the world. How can you act on that now? Like what comes up for you right now to embody that, to take that step? And then all you have to do is live that story now.
I love that. Many good points. Thank you so much for all the information and insights and wisdom you're bringing to the table. Looks like we have another question from Josh. He's a
Yes.
Walt, thank you. I've been telling myself that story, that it's a down slow season. It's causing me to suppress my energy. I have to take it easy and wait. But what am I
Mm.
waiting for? I'm going to change it.
Oh, I love it. Josh, first of all, thank you for sharing so much because people who share and express in my practice, that's who changes. Because you're letting the energy move, you're getting it out. Now look, we can make some progress because you're able to share with me. So expression, just like we're saying, be the energy now, take the step. That's an expression of your belief. You can have the belief of I want to live this story, but action is knowing. Because if I told you now, your dream will come true if you take this step, you would do it. It's just the fact that you don't believe it 100%. So action is knowing. So that's a great question to ask yourself. What are you waiting for? And there's a million ways to go for that because maybe waiting is your journey because you need to wait because you're practicing patience and you're practicing trust and timing, or maybe you're waiting because you feel scared and you don't feel like you're this is the right time and maybe it is the time to act. So I can explore that more with you as well, but it's a great question to ask. What am I waiting for?
Perfect. There's another thing I wanted to highlight that you mentioned is like, what story are we running now? And
Hmm.
how can we replace that story? And that reminds me that a lot of times there's an inner child that lives within us with trauma responses and perspectives that are superimposed on us as adults. Unconsciously, we're just simply, we just think that's the world, the way the world is because of our traumas. And so we have these different ages that we may have experienced multiple traumas that are being expressed as adults that we have not even questioned. So with that, a lot of self-judgment, not accepting ourselves, being hard on ourselves. And so these stories mess us up with
Yeah.
pursuing the type, focusing our energy to the person we want to be, the things we want to do. So recontextualizing those stories is really what you're talking about, changing them up, letting
Yeah.
go of that stuck energy in those disempowering stories and adopting new and empowering stories.
That is so big. It's so big. And I think that's the power I was saying of expression or showing up to calls like this or listening is starting to surface those old stories. Because if you're feeling some tension and you know that's not your truth, there's a story there. And there's a great quote that's what you're not changing, you're choosing. And if it's a pattern you're noticing, once you notice it's a pattern, that means you're choosing it because we choose every moment, we're choosing that story. And so be easy with yourself. There's a reason you're choosing it. Maybe it's making you feel safe in some way. Maybe it's, for example, I had this one client, we got to this root of his, he wanted to go follow his dream job, but he was still in his corporate job or his job that didn't align with him. And he was hesitating. And then when we kept talking, one of the things that surfaced is like, well, I want to go for my dream job, but I also want stability. So that story tells me right there, dream job does not equal stability. And that's just a story. What if your dream job was more stable? So that was a really big insight because so often we're like, we have these stories that you said we got from a kid or society. my dream job is not stable. Stable's over here. But that's just a story. So if you can say, "Oh wow, I you recognize that story that I don't believe stability comes," is, "Oh, how do I start believing in stability is my passion?" And I'm here to tell you that the more light you are, the more excited you are, the more stable your life is going to be because you're going to be excited. You're going to be in that high vibration, and the highest vibration is going to be the most stable thing you can do for yourself and the world.
I so appreciate you bringing awareness to really looking at our story and how that is keeping us stuck. And it's simply a story. I would even take that a step further. One
So,
realization I had in my awakening was that Noe was simply a compilation of a bunch of stories and core beliefs from parents, from society, culture, geography that conditioned me, right,
yeah.
to have these type of stories. And so when I was examining these stories, I realized, wow, these are unquestioned beliefs, indoctrinated, really. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's no way to be. That's the unconditional love I feel that is being expressed in all of us, in all our expressions. But I agree 100% by the awareness you're bringing up. What is the story that is preventing me? And it's
Yeah.
just made up, right?
Thank you for
It's a
sharing that, dude.
thing.
It's so cool. Yeah, you're just a compilation of stories. It's so fun. It's been a wild journey for me to be like, what is it feels like you have the formula. You find the story, you find the new story, and then you know that it's going to be unknown because you're like, how's this story going to play out? I'm scared, but that's it. All you have to do is act on it and it comes true because you know so deeply that it's your new story, it's a high vibration, and that's what it comes down to. Do you believe in that frequency?
Right. And I mean, I can't speak enough as I was in my healing process, and it's still ever unfolding,
Yes.
becoming aware we have blinders. We all have blinders. You change your vibration, your frequency, and all of a sudden there's a
Mm,
shift in consciousness and how you experience life. I mean, I can't underscore this, but what you do inside is really ends up being a reflection of your experience of life outside.
yep. I'm big on that as well. So another way, another habit, back to Josh's question is like take notice of your life. Like what are you noticing? Because like Noe's saying, it's a reflection of what you're vibrating at. So if you're noticing these certain type of people come in your life or certain type of opportunities, that's because it's an exact match to your vibration. So more on energy is not only where we are and who we are, it's also always working. Like you have to accept your reality in your meditation. You said, I accept I'm doing my best, I accept myself, and also I'm doing my best. It's like accept that whatever's happening is because you created it. And it might be tough at first to be like, why would I create this tough situation? But at the same time, if you accept that, you're saying, I created this, which means I could also change it. So you're saying, okay, I could see this differently. I love what you said about that it shifts from the internal because it can happen instantly. The second you know that this is something you created, like, ooh, I was telling this story, change the story, and you're looking at it completely different instantly. And that's all it is. And I love those instant shifts. And that's what I love to do for people is help them have that breakthrough moment, have that inspiration, be like, ooh, I just turn them this way a little bit. And they're like, oh, wow, I see this thing from totally different perspective. And now you're off. Now you're flying.
Mhm. So to recap a little bit where we're at, what is that one advice or 2 points, 3 points, really to summarize it, that people can start doing now at home to
Yes.
connect to their highest energy, their authenticity?
So I love it. I call it the energy first practice. Morning, first thing in the morning, what gets you aligned? So there's a lot of different practices, but for me, I've written out like what is my ultimate character? What gets me excited? What's like my ultimate dream life? Of
Mhm.
course, I could let go from that, but it's like that would be amazing. How does that person show up? And how do you tap into that frequency that is possible first thing in the morning? Because if you're able to do that, then you know, okay, that is my highest frequency. And then throughout the day, you can like, how do I stay there? So just take notice when your energy drops, because at all moments throughout the day, you can be in your highest frequency. Nothing outside you should be able to dim you. If it does trigger you, if it does dim you, just know that you're allowing that. So if
Mhm.
you can just notice your frequency throughout the day, you can make drastic shifts instantly. And one way I like to do that is to start in my highest frequency. And that could be as simple as reading my vision or playing a song that gets me excited or just meditating. But how do you get into a high frequency to start the day?
I couldn't agree more. That was actually one of my best practices of
Oh,
self-care
nice.
was my morning routine. It's really
Yeah,
assembling your reality, putting it all together, creating alignment, inspiration, allowing space for inspiration. I did morning pages. I did transcendental meditation. I wrote.
nice.
There's many little practices that got incorporated in my self-care, but I yes, 100% aligning to your highest expression in the morning.
Yes.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Yeah. And someone said, thanks for the generosity, sharing all the practical gems. Our pleasure. Guerlain. Hope I said that one. Guerlain.
Mhm.
What a beautiful name. Well, any other questions would be great. Other than that, I think we're pretty solid. I loved this conversation. I hope it was healing for people.
I appreciate you again for coming on and spending your time to create this awareness, right? A lot of us, the word energy is woo-woo, like how does that work? And so what we're talking about today is creating alignment, creating, connecting to purpose, our aliveness, and channeling that in all areas of our life, with the practices again that you're
Yeah.
highlighting.
I would say one other thing I'd add is only you know what lights you up. So you can tell when someone's in their light, in their highest frequency, and only you know. So if something's dimming you, if something's draining you, if you're not feeling drained, only you can be like, this would actually really light me up. No one can tell you your path. I can help you, where I can be like, hey, it sounds like this is not exciting for you. And like it can prompt some questions, but you have to be the one. Actually, this does light me up. I don't know. I can feel it when you're excited, but it's up to you to get to that state. So only you can light yourself up. Only you know it's, and that compass within you is all you need to follow. You always have it. That's one last thing I want. Actually, I shouldn't say last thing. I keep coming up with more, but the energy you have is your natural state. High frequency is your natural state. There's just things in the way. You don't need to find it. You don't need to start a new job. You don't need a new person to come into your life. You can feel high frequency right now, and it's always accessible. So that for me is very powerful reminder for me to be like, I don't need a whole situation to change. Something right. And the way I say that is like if someone called you with amazing news, you could change right now, but that energy was not gone. It's just that experience helped you tap back in. So just remember that your high frequency, your joy, your energy is always within you now.
Mm. Thank you again for your words of wisdom and insight. And again, I think the big point here that you're driving home is what can we do each day, maybe each morning best, to connect with our aliveness, that inspired version of ourselves, so that our day can flow in that right
Yeah.
direction in the present moment.
Yep. Beautiful. And that's my goal with life. My music, my content, everything I post, everything I share, I just want to be your reminder to tap into that. I feel like that's my role on this earth is just be people's reminders to tap back in, be like, ooh, yes, I was living this other story. Ooh, yes, I wasn't noticing my frequency. And so just a little boost, a little energy boost everywhere you go.
Awesome. Is there a way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, I'd say Instagram is probably the easiest. It's
Mhm.
just Be the Energy Steve. That's where I'm on a lot. If you want to email me directly, it's just contact@stevenselly.com. My website is, I'm pretty easy to find. If you type in Energy Steve on any platform and send a message or a comment, I'll see it.
Awesome. Any last questions? Josh, Mango, looks like we have Gurlane. This would be the perfect time to ask away.
Yes, I just dropped my contact in there.
Okay, awesome. If not, do you have any last words to impart?
Hmm. Have some fun. That's it. Have fun.
I love that. A lot of times we make things so heavy, and really, this space is a space of lightness, right?
Hmm.
To unburden ourselves with receiving different awarenesses, different perspectives, different stories. And so, this is where we get to look at our lives, our stories, in light of you sharing what you shared today and what
Yep.
all our guest speakers bring in new awareness.
Yeah.
Basically, we're in a dark room sometimes, and you become that flashlight for them by sharing your story. And so, I feel through that
Uh,
we get to unburden ourselves with all the heaviness of life, that we actually create for ourselves by interpreting life in a disempowering way,
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, there was a thought that I did have as you were
Yes.
expressing all this, and it was about this noticing versus focusing. A lot of times we are so laser focused on what we don't want. And so what energy are we really attracting and experiencing in our lives, right? And you get where I'm going with this. So it's a
Yeah.
matter of not focusing on what we don't want. Maybe notice, I don't, not my preference, but directing that focus to what are we for, aligning
Yeah.
with the highest expression, right? Is really what you were talking about today. So it's just that awareness. Where is my mind? Where's my space in my mind on what I
Mm-hmm.
want or what I don't want? And it's so important.
Love it. There's the reticular activating system in our brains, and it like limits our focus. Like we can only focus at so many things at once. Like right now we're in this conversation, but there's a whole world going on out there, right? And so what I love of my practices is like if you're just constantly focusing on the good things and the high vibration, it's all you're gonna see because you're not even like having time to look at all those things. So I hope this is a reminder to be like, oh, I might have been looking over here, and I get caught too. Oh, I was looking at all the limits over here and and I'm finding limits and I'm finding problems, but there's also so many other things in a different direction. And you could just shift that focus. So, and even if you're not feeling it, if you like meditate, journal, do some breath work, listen to some good music, even if you're not feeling it in that moment, you just did all those things to kind of help point you in that direction. And that's way better than if you didn't point it. Imagine if you didn't do those things, you don't even know where it's pointed. So, yeah, that's a really, I love noticing and focusing.
Right. And I think you also talked about a very important point that I appreciated. What I was told was to journal. And
Yes.
so I think the more we journal, what are we feeling? Right? Uh,
Hmm.
the more awareness that we're going to have, and the more things that we'll be able to consider and renegotiate those stories.
Definitely. I
Mhm.
think it's such a powerful practice that people don't utilize as much as they could because you write down a thought, now it's out of your head. It's literally in the 3D and the physical on paper that you can look at it and be like, oh, that's a thought I had. So you just let yourself just write, and then you could answer those questions. You could ask yourself questions, and you could just really build a relationship with your thoughts.
Yeah, for me, I had to laugh at myself because I noticed a pattern. I'm like, what is going on here? And so that created this awareness that made me think like, how silly am I being? And thus
Right.
the lightness, right? Eventually, like, wow, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
And the more I accepted that I'm doing the best I can and I accept myself just the way I am, then that was actually the way through versus saying, oh, I need to correct this, because you're
Yes.
approaching it from force. Like, you're in control of the script, you gotta like do something about it, otherwise, it's all bad. So I feel like through powers, through acceptance, and then boom, you see ways out to move, to navigate. Mhm.
So beautiful. Well, Noe, thank you for this space as well. I think what you're doing is beautiful, and I love the way you hold the space and have created this audience, and I'm just really grateful that you're doing this.
I appreciate you the most for being here and sharing your thoughts and your perspective and creating awareness, because through that, everybody who sees this is going to have something valuable to do in their daily lives, right? To align to that aliveness and start being that person now, our highest energy, our highest vibration.
Beautiful.
So with that said, like to invite everybody to close out in a short, very short reading meditation. Obviously, if you're driving, do not close your eyes. Only if you're in a safe place, close your eyes. And I invite you to take a deep breath and hold it. And as you took this deep breath, imagine that you breathe in all your suffering, all the suffering in the world. Now release the breath. And as you release the breath, imagine that you're releasing loving kindness to yourself, loving kindness to your family, your friends, your relatives, to the world. Now I invite you to open your eyes. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Steve, again, for sharing your wisdom and insights on unlocking your highest energy and how we can do that every day by really aligning to what lights us up and all the practical tips that you provided. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone, here for being on the call. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday at 6 for our next speaker.
In.
Ciao.
Hi, guys.